Welcome back to Reel Fishing 3, the walkthrough. Today we are heading to a real doozy of a level. This is the Old Bridge. The Old Bridge is hinted at by the journal pages that you find from your friend, your fishing partner. But here we are headed for it today. The goal is to catch 2 lunker-sized silver carp and 2 lunker-sized black carp or black Chinese roach. Those names are used interchangeably here in this game. The manual calls them black carp, and the game calls them black Chinese roach. Clearly just a disagreement in the localization as they were making this game. You can see we have a ton of different choices for tackle. That is because we have both some bottom-feeding carp family of fish, and we also have the cherry salmon in this level. So your default rod is the spinning rod. That would be for the cherry salmon. We don't need to catch one of those. We'll see one here in this video because I do like to complete my fish log. I think that's going to be important for unlocking some of the bonus content later on towards the end of this game. Anyway, we're going to be using the chum for large fish. Change to 50-pound line. Seems like the heavier lines make it a little bit harder for you to get bites from some fish. You need to just be a little bit more accurate. You got to get it closer to them. I don't think it's not worth the trade-off, though. I think it's definitely nice to have easier fights with bigger fish, so I think in the future I'm going to be going for heavier line, and especially because most of these levels you can sight fish anyway. I'll take a couple of extra casts to try to get it close to one of these fish. So here, those smaller fish that are farther out, those are your cherry salmon, so we will see those a little bit later on. The larger ones that are on the shelf there or on the drop-off, those are the fish we're after. Those are the larger carp family. So this, just like the other game, you do have to rebait yourself, but unlike the other games, you have a limited supply of bait for the day. So I only have 9 of this particular bait, this chum for large fish. It seems like it's a feeder rig, like a lot of anglers use for carp. So you have like a ball of loose ground bait or dough and a hook behind it. I think that's what they're kind of trying to go for here because it talks about being a piece of chum and also a piece of bait. I could be wrong about that. I've never done that kind of carp fishing in my real life. As a North American, my carp fishing was mostly done with just one hook. I usually wasn't using chum or ground baiting and a feeder system like a lot of my friends over the UK and Europe do for carp fishing. So you can see it's a little bit tricky to hook some of these fish. You do have to just wait for that vibration. I would very much recommend you go for vibration when you play this one. Try to get a controller with that function. There is a way you can turn that off and use an audio cue for it, but it's not something that I would recommend to most new players trying this one. The game fac that I've been using to kind of help me through some of these spots is very nice. It's comprehensive, a lot of great information there. The author of that game fac, back from the year of the release of this game, 2003, was clearly frustrated that they didn't have access to a vibrating controller as they were doing their playthrough. They talked about how hard it was to hook a lot of fish, and they talked about endless hours sometimes of trying to get a hook set on fish. For me, it usually was just 1 or 2 times experiencing a loss, getting a feel for when that vibration might come and having your finger ready to push that X. Because it is true, you usually often have a very small window of just a few frames to set that hook. But generally, if your reflexes are good, you can get it done. So this is a silver carp we have hooked here. It has a big black spot on top of its head. You can kind of tell from the sprite before. This, I think, is one of the same kinds of carp that are invading a lot of North American waters as I record this in 2021. The big head and silver carp are some of those that are making their way from the American Southeast up into hopefully not the American Great Lakes. That's where they have the barrier, I think, on the Chicago River to keep the bighead and silver carp species out of the Great Lakes system. Anyway, enough real-life fishing drama or invasive species drama. Here's our silver carp, and the design there does very much look like the bighead and silver carp that are in the North American waters as we record this. So it's a foggy day here today, so the visibility is not great, but anyway, we can still see everything that we need to do. So we're able to navigate around. I'm going to just look at another one of these bigger targets and see what we can do. I'm still haven't seen what the black Chinese roach looks like. Some of these look like they are the common carp. I'm not sure about this one as I was recording this one, so I'm just trying to see what I can do. I have the same chum for large fish on here, and that sprite does definitely look like the common carp. You can kind of tell from the the barbels on the side of their mouth. I think that's what they're called on that fish, are barbels. The feeler thingies, the feeler taster thingies. So this would be your common carp. I've caught these before. I don't need to check this fish off my list. I found in this level that the common carp will bite pretty much on anything, so they can be kind of a nuisance fish when you're targeting one larger fish and you pick up something else. So I get that sound because I think it is the first lunker-sized carp that I have. I'm noticing in this game, when you catch a fish that you've already caught before that isn't advancing you to anything new, then you don't really get the jingle. It's not unlocking a level, and it's not getting you a new tier of that fish. So I do put a lot of cuts in here. This one was a longer recording session, so you will see some cuts as we jump around a little bit. We're still targeting the old bridge here, so I still need to catch one more large silver carp, and then I've got to get my hands on those 2 black Chinese roach. And now here I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I'm not sure what species that is. And if you have the wrong bait on a fish, the fish will just not go after no matter what you do. So we took a little jump here to another spot, and I'm going to go after another one of those large fish by the shelf. I've changed my bait, so here it comes. And indeed, it is another silver carp, and we did get it hooked. So you saw me miss a couple of silver carp at the beginning, and then I've gotten better at hooking them. So that generally is how I'm doing it. So you can get a little bit of a feel for how I'm fighting these fish if you listen closely. You can hear, as I'm at the beginning of the fight, especially with this stout 50-pound line that I have on, when the fish bites, I've kind of tapped that reel button to try to pull them out of their run. Because if you just hold back on the rod, if you just push down on the analog stick, then the fish will pretty much just keep running. Generally, they'll turn after a while, but it's going to be hard to turn them. So you use that X button to just kind of reel, put a little bit more tension on them. That can get them turned, and then you look for those bubbles. So here's another jingle because this is our second silver carp. So at this point, I need to catch a cherry salmon, because just to check that off for completion purposes, and then I need to catch the 2 of the lunker-sized black Chinese roach. But I see this fish as I came out of the menu, and this is one that I have not caught yet. So I'm trying to see what it is, and I'm just going to cast at it. I think that could be the black Chinese roach. I'm using the mud snail, but I have a suspicion. I did see grass carp was in this area, and so I put on a piece of water grass, which the game hints at is used for grass carp. I cast out towards this particular new shadow, and sure enough, as soon as it lands, that fish is on its way. It's got a new look to it, so this is going to be a grassy. So we do have grass carp in North America. They're also not a native species in North America, but they are stocked in many places to do exactly what their name suggests. They keep down mats of vegetation. They eat lots of aquatic vegetation matter, green matter, so they keep ponds and lakes from getting too matted on the top. They can cause some other problems when introduced into natural ecosystems, but in human-made bodies of water, they're often stocked in for control of weeds. They also grow quite large in those places, although they are difficult to catch with rod and reel. They're hard to hook by mouth because of their diet. So because it's a new one, I do get the jingle there on the grass carp. So we're going to let this baby go. Could be a good one for the tank, but I don't really care to explore the tank too much. So far we've been on the same day. It started foggy, but the weather and the time kind of changed. You can see that we've gone to cloudy, and then as we have that last cut, I'm now in the morning of the next day. So now we are after the cherry salmon. So I just kept the spinner lure on there. I'm going to make a cast towards those smaller fish that are farther out. And this one I actually could barely see when it came up in bit as I was recording this. And then even now as I'm recording the commentary for this video, I still could barely see that fish coming from the distance. I really didn't mean to cast out as far as I did. And so I couldn't quite see where this fish was. But it comes from, it looks like the back and the right. So from behind and to the right, if you care to wind that one back. This wasn't really a fish I was targeting, but it's the one we hooked. And you can see we have a new sprite size here and a new sprite shape, so it is going to be the cherry salmon. Not an objective for this level, but because I like to get at least one of every species and complete my book, my Pokedex of fish, we are going to pull this one in. And Not a lot of difficulty in hooking or fighting these ones. These just seem to be kind of a bonus extra fish in this level. They don't bite on any of the baits that you're using for the target species. And I certainly would not think in this game that you would be catching too many carp using spinning gear. At least in real life, it's uncommon, I would say, at least uncommon to rare to catch bottom feeder fish on predator targeting lures like spinners, but it does happen. But I wouldn't think they would put that in this game. And so this cherry salmon's putting up quite a fight here. Just as I'm about to get it in, it takes a turn, but we do get it landed. There it is, the cherry salmon. And you can, as I just discovered here, you can move your camera around to inspect the whole body of the fish. So you don't just have to look at the head of fish. You can just you can scroll back and forth along their body. So here I'm still looking for those black Chinese roach. I've caught one of everything. I've caught my 2 silver carp. I have yet to get a black Chinese roach, and I want to see. I'd try this out to see if I refresh the level, if I re-roll the level, will there be a new fish? So I actually changed spots, and then I came back. So I changed spots to another location, came back here, and sure enough, there is a new sprite there, a new large fish. So I'm thinking that's the one. So we've got the mud snail with the made for black Chinese roach. I'm not sure what a black Chinese roach hook looks like or how it's different from other hooks in this game. And so I get a toss out there. Now, this is a tricky fish to get the hook set on. But again, wait for the vibration. You can see that the fish turns and moves. And the GameFAQ has a kind of a sort of guide for how to do it. But again, wait for that vibration. It just takes a while. The fish goes through kind of a sequence of animations. And actually, that was the only one. So you saw me go to another level. I went back to the map. I refreshed, reloaded the level, and to get another one there. So that, I think, is the secret to getting these fish to appear, is if you miss one, as I did there, and I'm about to do right here, miss this one as well. So we're going to have to go back to the map, go to another level, come back to this one. It doesn't take very long, but you can do it. And now we've got one ready to go. It's got the hook. It's moving. I felt the vibration, set the hook. Here we go. Now, this one looks smaller than the other one, and I was worried that this one would not qualify as a large black Chinese roach. But as we'll see, this is in the right size category. So this one, when I re-rolled the level this time, it seemed to have 2 of these black Chinese roach that were smaller than the big one that was right there. I don't think I would have too much trouble bringing in the big one if I had gotten it hooked, but that's just the way it worked. The first one I got hooked here was this. So I was expecting, as I was playing this level and recording it, I was expecting that I'd have to chuck this one and go for another one of the larger size, but I felt better having at least hooked one and knowing that the vibration was going to help me. The GameFAQ kind of suggested that you had to go by a visual cue rather than waiting for vibration. So this one gets the jingle. It doesn't say the lunker size, so I'm guessing this is not the size category, but I do get the jingle, which suggests that it's advancing me towards unlocking the level. So now we just need to try to catch that other one. So here we go. I jumped a little bit there to the next cast. I do have the other one ready to go. And there's the vibration. There's the hook set. This one was out in the deeper water, so this one was going to be a little bit longer fight. But we're able to get this one in, as you'll see. So we got the bubbles right there, keeping the tension on. I think this one also is not going to be the lunker size, so that's something you can check once you go back to the Aqua Lodge. You can look at the fishing log, look at your fish data, and you can see which tiers of size of each species that you've caught. So you can see if you've caught the juvenile bluegill and the mature bluegill. You can see if you've got the juvenile largemouth, the mature largemouth, and the lunker largemouth, so you can see all those categories. So I'm going to guess that I'm not in the lunker category for the black Chinese roach. So that one got a direct, like 90-degree turn straight away from me. I guess it was 180 degrees, I guess, straight away from me. And that's the hardest time to turn a fish, is when they are swimming, 12 o'clock away from you. When they're going side to side like this, it's a little bit easier to get the tension on them and get them turned by tapping that X button. But without getting a lot of tension on your line, it's awfully difficult when they're going straight away from you like that. So I was fortunate that I was able to get that fish turned before my line tension got too much. And when they get the bubbles, I think when they get a little bubble that tells you they're tired, if you just start reeling, generally that takes a good chunk of the tension off your line, even though you might want to try to be conservative. It seems like to be aggressive right there. The game does reward you for being aggressive when you do see the bubbles for exhaustion. And here we go. And that is the jingle that tells you you've unlocked the next level. So that's the one. So this is, again, not the lunker size. It would say LKR or LNKR in parentheses there. But because I heard that jingle, we are going to go back to our Aqua Lodge. We're going to check it out and make sure that we've unlocked the next level. And certainly we did. So the next level is going to be the Salmon River. As we just cut to the main menu here of the game to finish up this video. So that is the old bridge. A lot going on in that one, but I hope you were able to follow that. Let me know if you have questions, by the way. The way to get in touch with me, of course, you can hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, leave a comment with your questions. I try to get back to those quickly, or you can hit me up on Twitter, where I'm also active _ATE. We will see you as we travel to North America for the Salmon River.